There comes a moment when they walk away and you're left staring at the silence. Good, that silence, it's your invitation to rise. This channel is not for the weak-hearted, it's for those who have been doubted, left, ignored, and still choose to become unstoppable. Here, we don't beg people to stay. We don't cry over empty applause. We sharpen, we grow. We train in the dark until the light has no choice but to find us. Every video here is a wake-up call, not to prove them wrong, but to prove you were always right about your worth. You don't need a crowd to be powerful. You need purpose, discipline, and the courage to walk alone. If you're ready to turn heartbreak into hunger, solitude into strength, and silence into power, then you're in the right place. Let's build, let's rise, let's become undeniable. Sometimes people walk away because your destiny is too loud for their comfort. And I know that hurts. I know it feels personal. I know you wanted them to understand you, stand with you, stay beside you while you built yourself up brick by brick. But hear me, not everybody was built to walk the full distance with you. Some folks are just passing through. Their role in your life had an expiration date. And when it's time for them to go, don't chase, don't explain, don't fold yourself just to keep people who were never meant to stay. You see, when you start growing, when you start talking different, walking different, living with intention, it makes people uncomfortable. Your destiny starts speaking louder than their excuses, and they don't like that. Your ambition reminds them of everything they're running from. Your vision threatens their comfort zone, so they leave, they fall off, they ghost you, and you think something's wrong with you. No, that's confirmation you're stepping into something they don't have the courage to face. Let them go, let them misunderstand you, let them talk, let them whisper, let them pretend they knew who you were when they never even stayed long enough to see who you're becoming. Because real ones, they don't flinch when you start rising. Real ones don't get intimidated by your discipline. They don't get scared when you start breaking cycles, walking in truth, cutting off distractions. Real ones cheer for you when you finally start choosing yourself. But the ones who can't handle that, they were never with you, not really. Your silence, your calm, your focus that's gonna speak louder than any clapback, any explanation, any desperate attempt to be understood. You want to make noise, make it with your work ethic. You want to prove something, prove it with results. Let your success be the echo they can't outrun. You don't need noise around you to be powerful. Power lives in peace, it lives in stillness, it lives in doing the work when nobody's watching, when nobody believes, when you're sitting in a quiet room with nothing but faith and fire. That's where real warriors are made. Everybody wants to be understood. Everybody wants to be loved and accepted. But if acceptance costs you your purpose, that's too expensive. If fitting in means shrinking down, playing small, keeping people comfortable while you die inside, you're paying with your soul, and that's not a price you can afford. You're not supposed to water yourself down so other people don't drown in your depth. Let them leave, because once they're gone, you'll hear it, that voice inside you, the one you've been ignoring. You'll hear clarity, you'll hear peace. You'll finally have space to grow, to move, to rise without apologizing for it. And look, I'm not saying it won't hurt. It will. Growth always comes with a little bit of pain. A little bit of loneliness, but that pain, that's the stretch. That's your soul making room for the greatness trying to break through. That ache in your chest, that's not emptiness, that's space clearing out for power. You don't need 100 people to believe in you. You don't need 1,000 voices telling you you're on the right path. You just need one, yours, one voice that says, I got you. One voice that says, we're not quitting today. One voice that says, let them go. We've got work to do. The people who left were supposed to. They weren't assigned to your future. They were attached to your past. Don't drag them forward. Don't carry dead weight into the next chapter. Your destiny is loud. It shakes rooms, it commands silence, and anybody who can't handle that kind of power was never meant to stand in it with you. So let them go, not in bitterness, not in anger. Let them go in peace because you finally see the truth. You don't need them, you never did. You just needed to believe in yourself loud enough to hear your own destiny speak. Being left alone isn't rejection, it's redirection. I know it might feel like the world turned its back on you. People disappeared. Phones stopped ringing. The ones you showed up for, they vanished when it was your turn to lean. But hear me, that silence you're sitting in, that space where you feel forgotten. That's not a grave, that's a garden. Something is growing in you, something they couldn't see, something they weren't meant to witness. You think you've been abandoned, but you've actually been positioned. Positioned to hear your own voice. Positioned to stop depending on external applause and start building your own internal fire. See, strong people aren't built in crowds. Strong people are built in quiet corners. Strong people are built in lonely mornings and sleepless nights when they have to dig deep, when they have to carry themselves through things they thought would break them. You're not being punished. You're being prepared, and preparation never looks pretty. It's uncomfortable, it's frustrating, it's confusing, but that's what makes it real. That's what makes it solid. Anybody can smile when the room's full. Anybody can shine when the light's on them. But can you grind in the dark? Can you stay disciplined when nobody's clapping? Can you still believe when the crowd walks away? Because that's what separates the talkers from the builders. That's what separates the temporary from the timeless. You've got to learn how to walk through the valley without begging to be rescued. You've got to learn how to be your own rescue. You've got to sit with the silence until it teaches you something the noise never could. Solitude doesn't break strong people. It introduces them to the parts of themselves they didn't know were there. That discipline, that resilience, that self-respect, that peace. You don't find that in a room full of people telling you what you want to hear. You find that when it's just you and God and grit. You find that when all the easy exits are gone and the only way forward is to fight for yourself. And I get it, we all want companionship. We all want to be seen, heard, held. But if someone has to leave for you to find your strength, that's not loss. That's a gift. That's divine rearrangement. That's life clearing space for who you're supposed to become. Because sometimes the people you love the most are the very ones blocking your breakthrough. Sometimes you don't rise until you're forced to stand up without them. Sometimes you don't grow until you stop leaning on the wrong things. That's not rejection. That's redirection. That's grace disguised as isolation. That's love showing up with tough hands and saying, no more distractions. We're going deeper now. So sit with yourself, learn yourself, build yourself. Stop running from the silence and start using it. That voice you've been looking for outside, it's been inside you all along, but it only gets loud when the world goes quiet. That power you've been chasing, it was never in their validation. It was in your discipline. It was in your focus. It was in your ability to keep moving when no one was watching. You don't need everybody. You just need clarity, and sometimes the only way you get it is by being left alone. So let them leave, let the silence come, let the room empty, and then get to work. Because what you build in this season, this silent, hard, lonely season, will echo in rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. You're not being broken, you're being built. Don't confuse separation with abandonment. Don't confuse loneliness with weakness. This is your sharpening. This is your fire. This is your moment to become exactly what they never saw coming. You don't need everyone to understand you. Stop waiting for that. Stop needing it. You need to understand yourself so deeply, so clearly, so completely, that their misunderstanding doesn't even shake your purpose. Because here's the truth, most people will never see the vision inside you until it's finished. And some still won't see it then. But your job isn't to convince them. Your job is to become it. You waste too much time trying to explain yourself to people who were never meant to get it. You slow yourself down trying to carry folks who can't even carry themselves. You keep opening your heart just to be questioned, just to be doubted, just to be dismissed. And for what? so they can give you permission to be what you already know you were made to be. You don't need permission, you need conviction. You need to know why you're doing this. You need to wake up in the morning and know who you are, even when nobody claps, even when they call you crazy, even when they laugh behind your back. Because they will doubt you, they will downplay you, they will mislabel you, but if you don't know yourself, if you don't stand on something solid inside you, all their noise becomes your truth. And that's dangerous, because once you start chasing their approval, you lose your direction. You start shrinking to make them comfortable. You start editing yourself so they'll accept you. And little by little, your gift dies trying to be understood by people who were never meant to carry it. Some people can't see you because they've never seen anything real in themselves. So when you show up honest, focused, disciplined, it exposes everything fake around them. And that exposure makes them uncomfortable. So they reject you. They label you too much, too serious, too different. But let me ask you, why are you shrinking for people who don't even know where they're going? You weren't built to be understood by everyone. You were built to become undeniable. That means you've got to be so solid in your identity, so rooted in your purpose, that their misunderstanding doesn't move you. That means when they walk away, you don't beg them back. That means when they doubt you, you double your discipline. That means when they laugh, you lock in deeper, because the goal is not to be liked. The goal is to be aligned. The goal is to be true to what's inside you, even if they never get it. Especially if they never get it. You ever notice the people who are loudest with their opinions usually have the smallest vision for themselves? You're not here to argue with small minds. You're here to build something timeless. You're here to carry something heavy, and heavy callings don't come with light responses. So yes, people will question you. Yes, they will misunderstand you. Yes, they will try to pull you into their fear, into their confusion, into their small way of thinking. But you've got to be stronger than that. You've got to be so in tune with your own spirit that no one else's doubt can distract you. You've got to walk like your feet know the ground was built just for you. You've got to speak like your voice was carved to cut through noise. You've got to live like the misunderstanding is proof you're on the right path. Because if everybody gets it, you're probably playing too small. If everybody's clapping, you're probably not doing anything that scares the system. But when you step out different, when you step out bold, honest, focused, don't expect the crowd to cheer. Expect resistance. Expect silence, expect shade, and walk through it anyway. Let them misunderstand you, let them misjudge you. That's not your concern. Your concern is showing up every day with clarity. Your concern is becoming so locked in, so built from the inside, that nothing external can break you. The ones who don't get it, they'll either come around or fade out, but you keep building, you keep becoming, you keep walking like the road was meant for your feet. Because when you understand yourself, you don't need validation, you become it. When the applause stops, that's when the real training begins. Anybody can show up when the crowd is cheering. Anybody can be motivated when they're being praised. But what happens when the room goes quiet? When the lights turn off? When the fans walk away and nobody's watching anymore? That's the moment where champions are made. Because the real test isn't how you perform when you're celebrated. It's how you perform when you're ignored. When nobody's texting, calling, asking how you're doing. When you've got to wake yourself up, push yourself forward, pick yourself up off the ground because there's no one else to do it for you. That's the grind I'm talking about. That's where most people fold, not because they're weak, but because they were addicted to validation, addicted to noise. They needed the cheers to keep moving. But if you really want to go somewhere great, somewhere real, you've got to learn how to run in silence. You've got to train when no one's looking. You've got to build in the shadows with no guarantee the light will ever come. That's hard, that's lonely, but that's where greatness is born. See, we live in a world where people want quick applause. They want recognition without discipline. They want followers without foundation. They post something, and if it doesn't go viral, they quit. But champions keep going even when no one claps. They understand that the silence is sacred, that the grind, when it's just you and the sweat and the doubt, that's not punishment, that's purification. Because when there's no spotlight, you find out who you really are. You find out whether you're doing this because you love it, or because you want to be seen. You find out if the mission is in your bones, or just on your lips. That silence, it tells the truth, and most people run from it. But the strong, they lean into it, they get sharper, they get clearer, they fall in love with the process, not the praise. You want to be great, then understand this: the grind doesn't need an audience. Your progress doesn't need to be posted. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. All you need is discipline. All you need is consistency. All you need is to keep showing up for yourself when it's not convenient, when it's not pretty, when nobody's handing out gold stars. Because that's the stuff that lasts. That's the stuff that builds legacy. See, applause fades, headlines fade, but character, that sticks, integrity, that lasts. That's what you're building in the quiet. That's what you're forming every time you keep going when it would be easier to stop. You want to be a champion, then stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. Stop counting claps and start counting reps. Get under the weight when your body's tired. Speak truth when it costs you. Walk forward when it's easier to stand still. That's the training. That's the proving ground. That's the forge. And here's the truth: not everyone is going to see your work. Not everyone is going to understand your sacrifice, but they don't need to. You're not doing this for them. You're doing this because there's something in you that refuses to settle. There's something in you that was built for more. And that more, it's not found in applause. It's found in effort, in silence, in grind. So when the applause stops, don't be surprised. Be ready. That's when the mask drops. That's when the test begins. That's when you show yourself what you're made of. Can you train when you're tired? Can you believe when no one else does? Can you keep your head down and your heart focused when the world offers you every excuse to quit? Because if you can do that, if you can stay locked in through the silence, if you can keep climbing through the doubt, there's nothing you can't handle when the lights come back on. And when they do, you won't need the spotlight. Because by then, you'll already be the fire. Don't beg people to stay in a chapter they were never meant to finish with you. That kind of desperation will drain your spirit and blur your direction. Some people were only ever meant to be a paragraph. Some just a line, but here you are trying to stretch them through the whole book of your life, wondering why the story feels heavy, confused, broken. It's because they were never meant to go the distance with you. And that's okay. That's not abandonment, that's alignment. You've got to know when a character's time is up, and you've got to let them exit without chasing after them. The problem is, we get attached. We build a world around people who are only passing through. We confuse temporary roles with lifetime promises. And then, when they leave, we question everything. We wonder what we did wrong, why they stopped showing up, why they couldn't love us the way we loved them. But it's not always about wrong. Sometimes it's just about timing, growth, direction. Sometimes their chapter ends because your story is about to shift into something they were never built to carry, and that's not a reason to stop writing. You've got a pen in your hand. That's power. That means you still control the narrative. That means you get to decide who gets a seat in your future, who speaks into your vision, who walks beside your purpose. Don't hand that power over to someone who chose to walk away. Don't let the exit of one person stop the entrance of your next level. You've got to trust the process of release. You've got to believe that anyone who leaves was meant to make space for healing, for clarity, for new alignment. Because the longer you hold on to what's gone, the longer you delay what's meant to come. You can't receive with clenched fists. You can't move forward with your eyes glued to the past. So stop begging people to stay who have already made their exit. Stop pleading for loyalty from people who were only loyal to the moment, not the mission. Let them go, and when you do, pick up your pen, write your next chapter with intention, with strength, with your voice, not theirs. Too many people are living stories written by others, living out roles they never wanted just to keep someone close, and in the process they lose themselves. They forget their own dreams, their own truth, their own worth, but not you, not anymore. This is your story. That means you get to change the setting. You get to shift the tone. You get to become the hero. And sometimes becoming the hero means letting go of the side characters who brought more confusion than clarity. It means walking alone for a while so you can hear your own voice again, so you can feel your own heart again, so you can remember who you are when you're not trying to be who they needed. Because the most dangerous thing you can do is beg someone to love you who's already chosen to stop. That kind of emptiness will poison your self-worth. That kind of chasing will chain your future to a past that was never solid to begin with. You deserve more than that. You deserve someone who chooses you without conditions. You deserve to walk in peace, not tension, in truth, not pretense. And if that means walking alone for a season, then walk with power. Walk with your head high and your heart open, because solitude doesn't weaken you, it sharpens you. It teaches you how to write your own story without leaning on someone else's pen. It teaches you how to build from your own foundation, not someone else's approval. That's when you become strong. That's when you become unstoppable. So don't waste another second mourning people who were never meant to go the distance. Thank them for the part they played, learn from the lesson, then turn the page, because your story isn't over. In fact, it's just getting good. And this next chapter, you write it. They left good. Now rise, now sharpen. Now become so focused, so disciplined, so undeniable that the next time they look for you, you'll be too far ahead to hear them. That pain you feel, let it fuel you. That silence they left behind, let it become your training ground. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to wait for closure from people who never had the capacity to see who you were becoming. This isn't the time to cry over what walked away. This is the time to build, to get real quiet, get real still, and then get to work. Because here's the truth they left, and they probably thought you'd crumble. They probably thought you'd stay stuck, checking your phone, wondering why they ghosted, why they changed, why they didn't see your worth. But that's not your burden to carry anymore. Your job now is to rise. Rise with grace, rise with discipline, rise with an obsession to grow so strong that their absence no longer echoes in your soul. People will walk away from you and expect you to stay exactly where they left you. Don't evolve, move. Let your grind get so loud that their name becomes irrelevant. Let your improvement be your silence, no announcements, no explanations, just results. Because the best revenge is never bitterness, it's betterment. There's a moment that comes after the heartbreak, after the betrayal, after the disappointment, and it's the most important moment of your life. It's the moment when you decide who you're going to be now that everything you leaned on is gone. Will you stay broken, or will you get better? Will you drown in the past, or will you use it as fuel to build the kind of future they never saw coming? It's time to get locked in. This isn't about proving them wrong. This is about proving yourself right. This is about showing up every day with that fire in your chest, that voice in your head saying, I may not be there yet, but I'm not stopping until I am. This is about pushing through the early mornings, the late nights, the lonely weekends when everyone else is partying, sleeping, distracted, and you're sharpening. You're becoming, you're working, not for attention, not for applause, but because something inside of you knows that the real ones don't need permission to rise. They don't wait for a perfect moment. They create it. Let the ones who left keep looking back. Let them wonder what happened to the person they used to know. Let them scroll through your progress from a distance, realizing they lost someone who never needed them to shine. And by the time they try to return, they'll be reaching for someone who doesn't live there anymore. Because you outgrew the pain, you outgrew the silence, you outgrew the version of you who begged to be seen. You stopped needing validation and started building value. You stopped looking around for support and started looking within for strength. That's when everything changed. You want to become unstoppable, then treat every loss like a lesson. Treat every setback like a setup. Treat every no like fuel for your yes, because that's the mindset of someone who refuses to be defined by what left only by what's coming. So when they ask what happened to you, you just smile. You tell them, I stopped waiting. I started building. When they say you've changed, take it as a compliment, because yes, you have changed. You've leveled up, you've sharpened your focus, you've trained your mind, your body, your soul. You didn't need them to become more. You just needed the silence to realize your own power. They left good. Now rise. If this message lit something inside you, don't walk away unchanged. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's ready to stop waiting and start rising. Remember, they may have left, but you're just getting started. Keep going.